Chapter 51 Luofeng Canyon. You are listening at novelfull.audio. More than 500 miles south of Jiuxian Mountain, there is a canyon called Luofeng Canyon, which is also the destination of this outing. Generally, when a martial arts sect establishes a sect, they will choose a place that is full of spiritual energy, and these places are often areas where monsters are densely populated. Monsters devour the essence of human flesh and blood to enhance their power. Humans also hunt monsters and collect various materials from them. Both parties are prey to each other, so it is very dangerous to enter the range of monsters' activities. However, in order to hone their disciples and enhance their practical experience, martial arts sects will send experienced pulse condensation realm disciples to lead new disciples out for training, which can not only provide training but also ensure their safety. Relatively speaking, this kind of mission of hunting monsters nearby is very low risk. After becoming a disciple of the Pulse Condensation Realm, accepting the training mission of the sect and entering some dangerous places alone, that is the real life-threatening experience. Of course, there are always exceptions. Since it is an experience, it is bound to be dangerous. If you are not careful, there is a threat of death at any time. This is the law of survival in this martial arts world. The strong survive and the weak are eliminated. The team led by Ling Feng and Xianxia set off at full speed and walked for half a day before finally reaching Luofeng Canyon. After joining the sect, these rookies came out to practice for the first time. They all looked very excited, with sparkles in their eyes. 10 teams enter this area at the same time to practice. Whichever team hunts monsters and collects spiritual flowers and spiritual grasses has the highest combined value. Whichever team can win. However, unless those team members encounter life threats, the 2 captains leading the team are not allowed to actively help them hunt monsters. They can organize and guide team members, but they cannot give direct help. We're here. Ling Feng compared the map and looked around. The surrounding terrain was undulating, the humidity was heavy, and the road was covered with withered and fallen leaves. The entire canyon is run through by a large river with complex tributaries, stretching for thousands of miles. This kind of environment is also the environment that most monsters like. In the dense forest, the sound of roaring tigers and apes could be heard faintly, full of primitive and barbaric atmosphere. After entering the canyon, everyone remembers that you are never allowed to act alone. Xianxia glanced at the 10 team members and said with a cold face, the strength of these team members, the highest one does not exceed the 5th level of qi condensation, and the weakest one only reaches the 2nd level of qi condensation. They are not very old either, ranging from 15 or 16 to 17 or 18 years old. In Xianxia's view, a little baby at this age is too young and too innocent. After Xianxia finished speaking, the team members looked at Ling Feng, as if waiting for his instructions. Ling Feng was a little helpless, so he coughed lightly and said calmly, "Just listen to senior sister Jiang." In contrast, he still prefers to be alone. Well. Did everyone hear it? Uncle Ling Feng asked us not to act alone. A young man with a Chinese character in the team said loudly, "This person's name is Luo Jianying, he is the oldest and the strongest among them all." I know. The rest of the team members nodded repeatedly, especially the little girl Su Hongxiu, whose eyes were fixed on Ling Feng, and her little head was as bright as a woodpecker. Xianxia's face froze. It was obviously her own words, but when did it become Ling Feng's order? Humph. Xianxia snorted softly, thinking in her mind that she must find a chance to let everyone know who is the real leader. Ling Feng. It was only because of his relationship with the eldest lady of the Xianxia sect that he was taken seriously by the sect and was given such an important task. How did Ling Feng know that he was inexplicably hated by this little girl Xianxia? He looked at the route on the map and found a place where only first-order monsters and second-order elementary monsters were found. He said calmly, "Follow me." "Bring it on." "No." Xianxia gritted her teeth and stopped in front of Ling Feng. She pointed in the opposite direction to Ling Feng and said, "I have led the team several times, and they have always entered Luofeng Canyon from this way. You choose, there will definitely be nothing to gain if you go this way." "Really?" Ling Feng touched the bridge of his nose. His map was different from the one in this woman's hand. His map was the optimal route. Definitely. Jiang Wanqi nodded firmly. Based on my experience, I can't be wrong. Luo Jianying, Su Hongxiu and other disciples all sighed. Hey, it's starting again. Generally speaking, the two team captains cooperate with each other, but this senior sister Jiang has always been against Ling Feng. For example, on the way here, if Jiang Wanqi hadn't insisted on taking a detour and said she wanted to avoid danger, they wouldn't have been the last to arrive at Luofeng Canyon. You know, the other 9 teams have already entered the canyon and started training. Ling Feng shook his head and said calmly, okay, you will lead the way. He saw on the map that he could go forward for a while, and he could also go around to his own route. He would let Jiang Wanqi fool around for a while, and she would learn to behave after she suffered a loss. Humph. Jiang Wanqi wrinkled her nose, glared at Ling Feng, and said to herself, don't think that if you let me off once or twice, I will forgive you. Everyone, follow me. Jiang Wanqi waved and led everyone to go straight to a path on the right side of the canyon and along the river. It was late autumn, and most of the flowers and plants had turned yellow. Waist-high dead grass was everywhere, and the wind blew past it like golden waves, and in such areas where you can't see your feet, crises often lurk. Ling Feng shook his head. This Jiang Wanqi is really nonsense. Ling Feng walked at the end of the team and carefully watched the movements around him. Since he was leading the team, he had to be responsible for the safety of these children. He may have forgotten that he actually started in the same batch as these new disciples, and among them, there were even those who started earlier than him. Maybe it's because I've experienced a lot and my mentality has matured. Wow, the scenery is so beautiful. A female disciple couldn't help cheering as she looked at the surrounding scenery. Several male disciples around him immediately agreed, and a gentle young man laughed and said, yes, the scenery here is indeed beautiful. When I go back, how about I draw a picture of falling leaves and autumn frost for my junior sister? Okay, senior brother, you can also paint. It's really great. The female disciple immediately clapped her hands and cheered. Ling Feng shook his head. These guys didn't look like they were here for training. Instead, they looked like they were here for a trip. There is no vigilance or any sense of crisis. It's no wonder that the sect would arrange such an experience. They really need to experience the baptism of blood before they can truly grow up. At this moment, the grass on the left fluttered and trembled. Ling Feng immediately discovered that it was a fanged pig, just a very ordinary second-level monster. The fanged pig came very quickly. Jiang Wanqi immediately drew her sword out of its sheath and warned, a monster is approaching. Monster? Where? Where? The expressions of the disciples changed and they immediately drew out their weapons indiscriminately. They only knew how to play and laugh, and did not even notice that such an obvious crisis was approaching. If Jiang Wanqi hadn't reminded them, although these guys were strong enough to crush the fanged pigs, they would probably have suffered a certain amount of casualties. Please bookmark and recommend votes. Chapter 52 Monster Lair. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Roar, the fanged pig roared. This kind of monster didn't have much wisdom. It only knew how to rush forward and soon appeared in front of everyone. The beast's ferocious and terrifying appearance, as well as its scarlet eyes, immediately made several younger disciples weak with fear. This was just a fanged pig. If some kind of wind wolf or saber-toothed leopard came, they must have died 100 times. However, Luo Jianying was a little brave. She jumped out with her sword and raised her voice, don't panic, everyone. It's just a tusked pig. Those who are at the 3rd level of chi condensation and above will attack with me, and those who are at the 3rd level will support the surroundings. Don't let it escape. Luo Jianying's reaction was quick, and he had obviously experienced similar scenes. The fanged pig was probably equivalent to a 2nd or 3rd level chi condensation warrior, but it had amazing brute force and rough skin and thick flesh. Without considerable martial arts lethality, it is difficult to kill it. Even though Ling Feng practices swordsmanship and boxing easily and casually, for ordinary disciples, even a low-level yellow-level martial arts requires months or even years of hard work to achieve certain achievements. Ling Feng and Jiang Wanqi walked aside and did not interfere. This was a battle that belonged to these team members. Without experiencing these, a rookie will always be a rookie. only by growing up in the test of blood and fire can one be considered a true warrior. A tusked pig was not difficult to deal with, but they made too much noise here, and soon disturbed other nearby monsters. After a while, 2 more tusked pigs rushed in, catching the rookies a little off guard. Even Luo Jianying started to panic. Roar! Another tusked pig smelled the smell of the food here, became violent, and rushed towards this direction. This was clearly a lair for the tusked pig. Jiang Wanqing's expression changed slightly. It would be nothing if it was just a few tusked pigs, but when they broke into the tusked pig's lair, the rookies below were no match for them. Only then did she realize that she deliberately went against Ling Feng and ended up cheating her team members. 5 tusked pigs rushed in. Well, that's about it. Ling Feng narrowed his eyes, flashed, and rushed out. Hey, what are you going to do? Jiang Wanqing saw Ling Feng rushing out, gritted her silver teeth, and flew after him. If the number of tusked pigs continues to grow, this team will definitely be wiped out. Roar! Crazy roars came one after another. The fanged pigs found out that so many prey were coming to their door, and they were all excited. Even the Fang Pig King was dispatched. Luo Jianying's expression changed drastically. Although he was in the 5th level of Qi condensation, he would only die when he encountered the Tusk Pig King. It's over, we're doomed, there are so many monsters, we definitely can't defeat them. A female disciple was so frightened that she dropped her sword and squatted down with her head in her hands, tears streaming down her face. Senior Sister Sun, be careful. Su Hongxiu held her long sword and slashed down, killing a tusked pig that was attacking Senior Sister Sunday. Blood spurted out and sprinkled all over Senior Sister Sun's face. Senior Sister Sun immediately collapsed to the ground in fear. It's too dangerous, I don't want to be here, I don't want to die here, woo-woo. Senior Sister Sun, don't panic. Senior Uncle Ling Feng and Senior Sister Jiang are here. We will be fine. Su Hongxiu picked up the stainless steel sword on the ground and handed it back to Senior Sister Sunday. You look, Master Ling Feng and the others are taking action, we have to work hard too. Su Hongxiu's words calmed down the other disciples. Indeed, there seemed to be a lot of tusked pigs around, but the ones that entered the battle circle seemed to be the same 5 that were coming back and forth. There are 10 people here, and an average of 2 people deal with a tusked pig. What's so scary? Everyone, don't panic. Junior Sister Su is right, we don't need to worry about the other tusked pigs, it's enough to concentrate on dealing with these ones around us. Luo Jianying roared loudly, and the surrounding disciples also calmed down and couldn't help but look in Ling Feng's direction. At this moment, he held a long sword as black as ink in his hand. This sword is called Mo Yuan, and it was obtained from Elder Qin Jian of Luyun's sword sect that day. This sword is a top-grade mysterious weapon. Coupled with Elder Kanjian's long-term cultivation, the aura is so compelling that it can even be called a top-grade mysterious weapon. Ling Feng held the sword, and his whole aura suddenly changed. Zheng. The long sword thrust out, and every time he swung the sword, several tusked pigs would die under his sword. He stood at the entrance of the river bank, like a copper wall. No matter how many tusked pigs rushed towards him, he would only use one sword. What an amazing swordsmanship! Jiang Wanqing looked at Ling Feng from the side. His figure was upright, exuding an astonishing sword intent, his eyes were cold, and the expression on his face was always calm and calm. He seems to be only 18 years old, right? Jiang Wanqing had read Ling Feng's information. Ling Feng was about the same age as the new disciples he led, but his calmness when facing monsters was like a hunter who had experienced countless fights. Ask yourself, her cultivation level is indeed much higher than Ling Feng, but in terms of swordsmanship alone, she is simply not as good as Ling Feng. Roar! Ling Feng almost destroyed all the fanged pigs with one sword and one man. The Fang Pig King, with blood-red eyes, roared and rushed towards Ling Feng. Unfortunately, it's still the same sword. Star Disillusionment kill. A sword pierced the Tusk Pig King's eye socket, and the sword energy exploded, blowing its entire pig head into bloody foam. Okay, there shouldn't be any other tusked pigs that dare to come here. Ling Feng shook Missouri Yuan's sword, shook off the blood on it, sheathed the sword, and stood aside with an indifferent expression. looking at the rookies who were fighting with the fanged pigs on the river bank. Jiang Wanqing bit her silver teeth and stared at Ling Feng with a pair of autumn eyes. She suddenly felt that Ling Feng, a man, had become very mysterious. No wonder he has become a legend among the inner disciples just a few months after he came to ask the immortal sect. He is indeed not an ordinary person. Ling Feng was so stared at by Jiang Wanqing that he felt scared. He turned away, took a few steps back, clasped his hands on his chest, and said calmly, "Finally, he looks good." Jiang Wanqing's pretty face blushed slightly. As a daughter, it was too unreserved to stare at a man like this. She bit her lip, nodded and said, "Well, it's indeed much better than before." Under Luo Jianying's command, all team members advanced and retreated in an orderly manner, and the number of tusked pigs decreased one by one. In about half an hour, everyone killed all 5 tusked pigs that Ling Feng had deliberately put in, except for the 2 disciples who suffered some minor injuries. There were no injuries. "Ha ha ha, we win, we win. We defeated the monster. Ha ha ha, great. Thanks to senior brother Luo for his command. And junior sister Su saved me, thank you junior sister Su." That the joy of victory was overflowing on the faces of all the team members. Even the team members who were so frightened at the sight of the fanged pigs at first now dared to hold their swords and fight those monsters. This is the first step for them to transform into true warriors, and it is also a solid and powerful step. Actually, the person we should be most grateful to is Master Ling Feng. Luo Jianying said loudly, "If Master Ling Feng hadn't stopped the other monsters for us, how could we have dealt with so many monsters?" "Yes, thank you so much to Uncle Ling Feng. Master Uncle Ling Feng is so powerful. I just saw Master Uncle Ling Feng kill those 2 big wild boars as tall as 2 people with 1 sword strike. Wow, that must be the wild boar king. Ha ha ha." The expression on Ling Feng's face still didn't change too much. He just nodded slightly and said calmly, "Okay, hurry up and get rid of the loot. The smell of blood here will attract more powerful monsters." "Yes, Master Ling Feng." All team members responded in unison. Jiang Wanqing stood aside, bit her lips, and thought to herself, perhaps, letting him lead the team is the most correct choice, rolling for votes. Chapter 53 Shameless Person. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After a while, the team members finished processing the carcasses of the tusked pigs on the ground, but all they could harvest were the 5 tusked pigs they killed. As for the tusked pig killed by Ling Feng, according to regulations, it cannot be counted as a training achievement. Ling Feng was not stingy either. Except for the tusked pig king's demon elixir which he collected, all the other materials were distributed to the team members. Although they were not included in the results, they could still get some demon elixirs. For those in the early stage of qi condensation, for the disciples, it is also a considerable fortune. Jiang Wanqing, lead the way. Seeing that everyone had finished handling the loot, Ling Feng turned back and said calmly to Jiang Wanqing, "I." Jiang Wanqing bit her lower lip and was silent for a moment, but, "You should lead the way." "Ha." Hearing Jiang Wanqing's words, the surrounding team members were stunned for a moment. Jiang Wanqing, who had always been opposed to Ling Feng, actually took the initiative to let Ling Feng lead the team. Ling Feng curled his lips, not much surprised. This woman finally had some brains and didn't blindly act nonsense. "Okay, everyone, come with me." Ling Feng nodded, and went back to the route he chose from here. It is only a dozen miles away, so it won't take long. Night falls. Night is the most dangerous time in the wild, because those powerful predators often like to go out under the cover of night. Ling Feng himself didn't care, but traveling late at night with so many team members was definitely an unwise choice. Fortunately, before nightfall, Ling Feng found a demon bear's lair. The 10 team members joined forces and quickly killed the demonic bear, and then occupied the lair as a temporary camp. Tonight, Luo Jianying lit a campfire at the entrance of the cave and arranged for the team members to take turns to keep vigil. This guy had some experience in surviving in the wild. Among all the disciples, he was also the most calm and capable. Everyone gathered around the bonfire, and the team members who had a good relationship sat together in twos and threes, talking about what happened during the day, and everyone was happy but a little scared. Ling Feng leaned against the rock wall with Mo Yuan's sword in his arms, sat cross-legged, and activated the method of asking immortal qi refining technique to regulate his breathing. Of course, it would be difficult for him to use his human eye to practice in public. Uncle Ling Feng, here you go. Su Hongxiu grabbed a wooden stick with a piece of fragrant barbecue on it and walked over with a smile. That was the paw of the demon bear that had just been killed by everyone. Thank you. Ling Feng nodded slightly and took the barbecue. Although he brought some dry food, it was not as good as the barbecue. The meat of monster beasts is different from ordinary beasts. The monster essence contained in it has a certain tempering effect on the physique of the cultivator. The children of those big families and powerful forces have been devouring the meat of various monster beasts since they were young, so their physiques are generally a bit stronger than ordinary warriors. At this moment, a dull roar suddenly came from the distance, with a suffocating breath in it. For a moment, the cave became extremely silent. This kind of roar is obviously the roar of the tiger of the king of the forest. Generally speaking, tiger-like monsters are extremely powerful. Although the roar was still far away, it was enough to frighten the rookies present. Ling Feng looked around the cave for a week and asked, "Where is Jiang Wanqing? Why don't you see her?" Senior sister Jiang said she wanted to go out for a walk, but she hasn't come back for a while. Su Hongxiu replied in a low voice. "I'll go out and look for you. Don't wander around." Ling Feng touched the bridge of his nose, stood up and walked out of the cave. In fact, with Jiang Wanqing's ability, he didn't need to worry about it at all. He just found an excuse to avoid the crowd and find a place to open the human eye to practice. After being promoted to the 9th level of qi condensation, the opening time of the human Dao eye has been increased to 50 breaths, and according to the method in the Chaos Heavenly Emperor art to stimulate the 6 human qi, it seems that the second divine pattern is about to be condensed. Ling Feng estimated that after he was promoted from the qi condensing realm to the pulse condensing realm, he would be able to condense the second divine pattern. At that time, he would be able to gain 2 powerful abilities. After walking out of the cave, Ling Feng observed the surrounding environment and walked towards a relatively quiet place. He would inevitably walk hundreds of feet toward the cave. It was not far or near from the cave. If anything happened, he would have time to rush back. Suddenly, he found a subtle rustling sound in a bush not far ahead, and the surrounding weeds were swishing and swaying, as if some animal was moving inside. Ling Feng subconsciously looked in the opposite direction. In a dense bush, I saw a girl wearing purple clothes, with her back to Ling Feng. Ling Feng also heard some faint rustling sounds. Forehead. Ling Feng's expression froze and he quickly looked away. He had already recognized that the girl was Jiang Wanqing. Although Ling Feng didn't think he was a gentleman, he wasn't a voyeur either. Moreover, as a doctor, he has seen the bodies of men and women, and is very familiar with the structure of the human body, so naturally he will not have any evil thoughts. Jiang Wanqing obviously didn't know that she had been exposed, let alone that the crisis was quietly approaching. Aha! At this moment, a black shadow suddenly wandered from the grass and entered the bushes. No, 5-step Krite. Ling Feng's eyes narrowed. The 5-step Krite was not a powerful monster, but it was highly poisonous. After all, warriors are still mortal bodies. At least warriors in the pulse condensation realm cannot be completely immune to this poison. The target of the 5-step Krite was Jiang Wanqing's slender feet. But Jiang Wanqing knew nothing. "Do not move." Ling Feng gave a low shout, raised 2 fingers together, and fired sword energy, bursting out. Aha! An extremely sharp sword energy was shot out, and it disappeared into the bushes with a whoosh. Then, there was an explosion. The head of the 5-step golden Krite exploded, and its body twisted on the ground several times. And lost its vitality. The whole movement was smooth and flowing, which also proved that Ling Feng's vision was extremely amazing. Jiang Wanqing was startled by the sudden shout. She froze on the spot for a moment, stood up suddenly, fastened her belt quickly, and immediately drew out her sword. She had a pair of phoenix eyes and a deep frown. "Who is it?" Jiang Wanqing's pretty face turned red with anger. The voice just now was clearly that of a man. Wasn't she being exposed? It's me. Ling Feng had no consciousness of being a peeper. Instead, he took a few steps forward generously and raised his right hand. Ling Feng, it's you. You shameless peeping Tom. Jiang Wanqing gritted her teeth, feeling mixed with shame and anger. Her face darkened, like ice that had not melted for thousands of years, her phoenix eyes filled with anger, staring at Ling Feng. Fortunately, I thought he was some kind of legend during the day, but I never expected that he would be such a shameless person. Please collect it, please vote. Chapter 54 Night in the Wilderness. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Peeping Tom. Ling Feng frowned and hummed, Jiang Wanqing, you'd better understand. I'm not interested in you at all. Is it necessary to spy on you? Admittedly, Jiang Wanqing did have some beauty, but he just caught a glimpse of her accidentally, not to mention, he saved her life. You. Jiang Wanqing's pretty face flushed with anger, and she cursed in her heart, this damn Ling Feng could still be so confident after peeking at her. I really can't find anyone more shameless than him in the world. You are hiding here, doing such obscene things, and yet you are so confident. I must teach you a lesson. Jiang Wanqing felt like her lungs were going to explode with anger. Look at your feet first. Ling Feng shook his head, turned around and left, too lazy to pay attention to this troublesome woman. Don't leave, please speak clearly to me. Jiang Wanqing jumped up and down in anger. When she looked down, her face turned pale with fright. Sure enough, at his feet, there was a small dark brown snake, as long as chopsticks, with its head missing. The cuts on the snake's body were as smooth as a mirror, and its head turned into blood foam all over the ground. Only then did she realize that the sound of breaking wind that she had just heard was obviously Ling Feng's sword energy, which killed the little snake. She recognized this kind of snake. It was an extremely poisonous 5-step golden kite. If an ordinary person was bitten, he would die within 5 steps. Even a pulse-condensing realm warrior like her, if bitten one mouthful, and if he didn't get treatment in time, he might lose one of his legs. This. Jiang Wanqing clenched her fists. It turned out that Ling Feng actually saved her, but she misunderstood that he was spying on her. Jiang Wanqing stirred up a storm in her heart, bit her silver teeth, spread out her body skills, and flew away in the direction of the cave. After a while, Jiang Wanqing returned to the cave and immediately asked the disciple who was on duty, "Where is Ling Feng?" "Is he back?" The disciple on night duty was stunned, and quickly shook his head and said, "No, Master Uncle Ling Feng saw that you hadn't come back for a long time, so he went to look for you, and you haven't come back yet." He. Jiang Wanqing's heart skipped a beat. He came to find me. What's wrong, senior sister Jiang? Nothing. Jiang Wanqing was a little distracted and slowly walked into the cave. Some random thoughts came to her mind. Why did he come out to find me? Does he care about me? If Ling Feng knew that Jiang Wanqing's associations were so rich, he would definitely be dumbfounded. I was clearly just looking for an excuse to leave, but I caused such a misunderstanding. At this time, Ling Feng was sitting cross-legged on a rock not far from the cave, opening his human eye to absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. The time that takes 50 breaths to practice at 100 times the speed cannot be wasted. After he circulated the true energy in his body for 99 and 81 days, he stopped staying outside and returned to the cave. Uncle Ling Feng, you're back. Senior sister Jiang was looking for you just now. The night watch disciple said quickly when he saw Ling Feng appear. Jiang Wanqing is looking for me. Why are you looking for me? Ling Feng curled his lips and thought to himself, women are troublesome. If I had known better, I would have let the poisonous snake bite her. Anyway, with my medical skills, I can easily treat just the snake venom, and I will save myself from being wrongly accused of being a peeping shameless person. I don't know. The night watch disciple shook his head. Senior sister is inside. You can find out if you ask her. At this time, Jiang Wanqing happened to walk out of the cave again to see if Ling Feng had returned. When she saw Ling Feng, her eyes lit up, but because there was someone next to her, she immediately tensed up again and gritted her teeth and said, "You, come with me." Ling Feng rolled his eyes and had no choice but to follow her. Finally, Jiang Wanqing stopped on a small hill, turned around, mustered up her courage, and said to Ling Feng, "Just now. I'm sorry, I wrongly blamed you. Thank you for saving me." Ling Feng raised his eyebrows and said calmly, "Is this the case? You're welcome. I will take action if anyone encounters this situation." Jiang Wanqing's pretty face turned red, and she said, Then what did you see just now?" After saying this, Jiang Wanqing felt that her heart was about to jump out. "I didn't see what I should have seen or what I shouldn't have seen." Ling Feng shook his head, "If nothing happens, I will go back." After saying that, he turned around and left, with no intention of continuing to entangle with Jiang Wanqing. You! Jiang Wanqing stomped her boots, almost going crazy with anger. "You bastard, are you so unwelcoming? You don't even look at me. A woman's mind is so weird. Look, you are said to be frivolous and shameless, and you are a prodigal. If you don't look at it, you will feel unbalanced." After Ling Feng returned to the cave, Jiang Wanqing came back angrily after a while. When she walked past Ling Feng, she hummed angrily, and then sat on the other side of the cave, looking away without even looking at Ling Feng. One glance, this scene is worth pondering in the eyes of others. Ling Feng and Jiang Wanqing came in and out several times. What happened? How intriguing. However, they did not dare to gossip in front of Ling Feng and the others. They just guessed in their hearts that the relationship between them was not simple. As expected of Master Ling Feng, it only took so long for Jiang Wanqing, a proud white swan, to bow her head. That's awesome. This is the emotion in the hearts of the male disciples. Of course, there are also female disciples who secretly sigh, "Hey, why doesn't Master Ling Feng fall in love with me?" This night seemed extremely long. Suddenly, the warning bell placed near the cave made a crisp sound of ding bell, aha. First, the night watch disciples suddenly stood up, and then everyone else in the cave woke up. Ling Feng also opened his eyes and looked in the direction of the sound. "It's okay, it's just a hare that accidentally jumped onto the cordon." The disciples on night duty quickly sent back the news, and everyone breathed a sigh of relief. After a bloody battle during the day, these guys finally started to become vigilant, but in fact, some plants and animals were all under attack. As the saying goes, once bitten by a snake, you will be afraid of well ropes for 10 years. This is probably what it means. Finally, in the second half of the night, the disciples who were sitting cross-legged and meditating began to feel tired and fell asleep. The disciples on night watch also had their eyelids twitching and were very sleepy. Ling Feng walked to the entrance of the cave, patted the night watch disciple on the shoulder, and said calmly, "Okay, you go to sleep for a while, I'll just keep watch." "Ah. Master Uncle Ling Feng." The night watch disciple woke up a little when he saw Ling Feng, and quickly rubbed his sleepy eyes. "How can this be done? I'll just keep watch." "Go to sleep, everyone has been working hard during the day." Ling Feng couldn't help but push the night watch disciple into the cave, and sat alone at the entrance of the cave, alert to the movements around him. When the team members in the cave saw this scene, they suddenly realized that Uncle Ling Feng, who was rumored to be killing without blinking an eye, didn't seem so inhumane after all. I'm afraid if he were the captain of any other team, he wouldn't personally keep vigil for the team members like him. Rolling for votes. Chapter 55. The Monster Clan suddenly appears. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Deeper and deeper, in the second half of the night, the temperature dropped sharply in Luofeng Canyon, and the roars of wild beasts around became more frequent, like ghosts crying and wolves howling. The starlight dimmed. Ling Feng frowned, and felt a strong uneasiness in his heart. After all, he still deviated from the route Li Liang gave him, but logically speaking, this is still the peripheral area of Luofeng Canyon, and there shouldn't be any too powerful monsters. A subtle voice reached Ling Feng's ears. He stood up suddenly, stared, and saw a shocking scene. A monster beast with a fox-like appearance, its whole body covered with a layer of light black smoke, its steps were light and its figure was like lightning. It easily passed over the early warning device arranged by Luo Jianying and the others outside the cave, and was quietly moving. Come closer this way. What kind of monster is this? It has such superb intelligence. Ling Feng frowned and immediately shouted, Get up quickly, there is a monster approaching. Hearing Ling Feng's shout, the monster was obviously a little surprised, but with a flash of cold light in its scarlet pupils, it actually stood up and sped towards the cave. Ling Feng's roar suddenly woke up the team members in the cave. One by one, they picked up the weapons around them and rushed out. However, when they saw the monster standing upright, they were all startled, because not only did the monster stand up, but it also held a polished animal bone of unknown origin in its hand. Big stick. A monster with weapons? This is not an ordinary monster, it is a monster clan. Jiang Wanqing is a true disciple of the pulse condensation realm, and her knowledge is much higher than others. Monster clan? Luo Jianying's pupils shrank suddenly. Why are there demon clan in Luofeng Canyon? Monsters are different from ordinary monsters. They have the same wisdom as humans, and they also practice like humans. They even have their own power and their own kingdom. They are born with powerful cultivation instincts that far exceed those of ordinary humans. If their reproductive abilities were not inferior to humans, I am afraid that the entire Xianling continent would have been dominated by the demon clan. In the history of Xianling continent, there have been countless wars between humans and monsters, with both sides suffering heavy casualties. As the saying goes, those who are not of my race must have different minds. Both the demon race and the human race are trying their best to exterminate each other. Unfortunately, for tens of thousands of years, neither side has been able to win a decisive victory. After every war breaks out, there will be a few hundred years of relative stability. The current period is considered a stable period. Humans occupy big cities and ponds, while monsters occupy vast wilderness. This is the pattern of this era. Although Luofeng Canyon is said to be in the wild, it is actually the training ground for several sections. It is a place in the human kingdom. Generally speaking, there will be no monsters. Well, there's only one explanation. This demon clan, which looks like a fox, mutated successfully on its own. Originally, the demon clan evolved from demon beasts, and it is very reasonable for ordinary demon beasts to mutate. Ignore why there is a demon clan, kill it first. Ling Feng suddenly pulled out the Mo sword. The purpose of this trip is just to let these team members kill monsters, and monsters are not included. Ling Feng had never dealt with the demon clan, so for the sake of safety, it was better to take action himself. Jiang Wanqing, let the others stay in the cave. Leave that monster to me. Ling Feng swung his long sword and launched a free sword step. His whole body immediately seemed to be possessed by a fairy cloud. After several jumps, he rushed, arriving in front of the demon clan. Clang. Ling Feng thrust out his sword, aimed at the demon's eyes, and stabbed it hard. There was a hint of surprise in the blood-colored eyes of the demon clan. The speed of this human being exceeded his expectations. His aura was obviously not very powerful, but he could actually burst out at such a terrifying speed in an instant. It grabbed the bone club in its hand, swung it out heavily, and collided with Ling Feng's long sword. Rub. The bone rod and the sword blade collided, causing little sparks to fly. Ling Feng's jaw went numb and his brows furrowed. The brute strength of the demon clan is truly astonishing. If Ling Feng hadn't used the Shenyuan pulse forging pill given to him by his leader Lin Sanglang, the rock body would have achieved some success, and the long sword would have probably flown out of his hand just now. The demon clan roared, and struck with another claw from his backhand, tearing it apart fiercely. In addition to being able to use weapons, the demon clan has not forgotten the instinct of sharp claws and fangs. Suddenly, a light black demonic energy spurted out, trying to disembowel the human being in front of him. Get away! The sword energy in Ling Feng's hand swayed, and dark red light flickered. The fire attribute energy inspired the sword energy of the setting sun sword technique, and the scorching energy surged up. The demon clan seemed a little afraid of fire, and quickly stepped back a few steps. However, Ling Feng's sword had already slashed out. The bloody setting sun, the killing move of the setting sun sword technique erupted, and in the air, a male flame appeared. and the long sword as black as ink burst out with red light. There was only a whoosh sound, and the sword light flashed, and the demon clan could not retreat, and a steel-like sword most of the sharp claws were cut off. Ho ho ho! The demon clan roared in pain. Its pair of sharp claws were completely comparable to weapons of the mystical weapon level. Fortunately, the Mo Yuan sword in Ling Feng's hand had already reached the level of a top mystical weapon after being tempered by Elder Kanjian. Level, otherwise this sword confrontation may not have this effect. However, this sword also completely angered the demon clan, and with the roar, the demon clan became more ferocious and violent. Every part of its body can be a deadly weapon: sharp claws, fangs, long tail. With the big animal bone stick in its hand, it seemed to be going crazy, willing to kill Ling Feng at the cost of injury. Monsters are born with physical advantages. Whether it is defense or recovery, they are far stronger than humans. The bodies of monsters are monsters, and they also have this characteristic. For a moment, dust swept across, sword energy surged, and one person and one demon were entangled in each other crazily. Sword holes appeared on the monster's body, and many claw marks were left on Ling Feng's body. At this time, the effect of Ling Feng's choice of the rock body bodybuilding technique was revealed. Without the rock body, just the claw strike on his chest would have been enough to kill him. The dragon controls the sea. Ling Feng swung away the demon's animal bone club with a sword, and the demon's middle door opened wide, revealing its chest. How could Ling Feng miss this opportunity? He punched out fiercely, hitting the beast's chest with a killing move of the 9-level sea-suppressing fist. Bang! In the void, the shadow of a dragon seemed to appear faintly. As the dragon danced, it turned over rivers and seas, setting off turbulent waves. The force of the violent wave instantly broke through the demon clan's defense. Laugh! The monster's body was knocked back more than 10 meters, and a pair of sharp claws left 6 deep claw marks on the ground. A pair of blood-colored eyes stared at Ling Feng viciously. The fur on its chest was stained red by the smelly blood, and the blood dripped to the ground. However, he didn't look like he was seriously injured at all. Instead, he seemed to be stimulated. The blood in his eyes became even brighter. He roared and pounced hard again. Still not dead. Ling Feng sighed at the powerful vitality of this monster clan. The continuous burst of killing moves just now had already left him somewhat exhausted. No, I'm afraid he won't be able to resist it alone. Jiang Wanqing gritted her silver teeth, drew out her sword, turned back and said to Luo Jianying, "You stay, I will help him." Rolling and asking for favorites and recommendation votes. Chapter 56: The Secret of Mutation. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. As soon as her figure flashed, Jiang Wanqing flew to Ling Feng's side with her sword. She slashed the demon clan back several feet with her sword and asked urgently, "Ling Feng, how are you?" "It's okay." Ling Feng's breathing was a little messy. He didn't expect that such a terrifying demon clan would appear outside Luofeng Canyon. His strength alone is definitely beyond that of any warrior in the Qi condensation realm. I am afraid that even if Jiang Wanqing comes to help, it will not be able to play a decisive role. However, the addition of Jiang Wanqing gave Ling Feng a chance to breathe. He calmed down and took out a few golden needles to seal several of his acupuncture points. Excessive blood loss had already made his brain dizzy. Dang, dang, dang. Within a few breaths, Jiang Wanqing had already exchanged more than 10 swords with the demon clan. As Ling Feng expected, even though Jiang Wanqing was already a warrior in the pulse condensation realm, she was only at the first level of the pulse condensation realm. In terms of strength, she was steadily outnumbered by the demon clan. Suppress, if it weren't for her superb footwork and her swordsmanship, and the demon was also seriously injured, she would probably die if she couldn't withstand a few moves. Ling Feng took advantage of Jiang Wanqing's hold on the demon tribe, took out some elixirs to restore his true energy, exhaled a few times, and immediately rushed over with his sword. "I will be the main attack, and you will assist from the side." Jiang Wanqing bit her lower lip. She was in the pulse condensation realm, but she was reduced to being assisted by the Qi condensation realm. However, she knew in her heart that Ling Feng could fight such a terrifying monster for so long. which meant that Ling Feng's true strength had surpassed that of herself, a warrior at the first level of the pulse condensation realm. What a monster! Ling Feng, who had regained a few percent of his true energy, became lively and energetic again. The long sword in his hand was as strong as before, and the sword energy swept across and enveloped the demon clan. This is also the advantage that humans have over demons, who cannot make elixirs. The boundless falling wood is killing, Ling Feng shouted low. This move was the killing move in the falling leaf sword technique that the Luyun sword sect elder Qin Jian lost to him. Ling Feng had seen Di Jingtian perform it before and read the sword manual several times. And soon mastered this swordsmanship. The power of the falling leaf sword technique is slightly inferior to that of the broken star sword technique, but it consumes relatively less infuriating energy. Boom. The artistic conception like falling leaves in the autumn wind swept out, mixed with the extremely violent sword energy, sweeping out in a mighty manner. Even Jiang Wanqing felt that the surrounding temperature seemed to have dropped, filled with the coolness of late autumn. This Ling Feng is truly a swordsman wizard. Jiang Wanqing saw Ling Feng perform several swordsmanships, and he practiced every killing move to the point of mastery. Even she felt ashamed. Ouch! No matter how tenacious the demon clan's vitality is, there will be a time when it is exhausted. The blood gurgling out of its chest finally plays a key role at this time. Its strength, due to the loss of blood, began to fade rapidly. Boundless falling wood, endless sword energy. At this moment, all of them penetrated its body. For a moment, screams shook the sky, and blood spilled into the sky. Boom! The tall body of the demon clan fell heavily to the ground, causing a burst of dust to fly. This monster is finally dead. Ling Feng's legs weakened and he collapsed on the ground from exhaustion, leaning against a large tree that had been cut in half by the sword energy, breathing heavily. Jiang Wanqing on the side also wiped the sweat on her forehead, walked step by step to Ling Feng's side, and said with sincere admiration, "You are really amazing." That if she was the only one leading the team, or even replaced by another true disciple at the first level of the pulse condensation realm, Jiang Wanqing could be sure that their team would be completely wiped out. "Uncle Ling Feng, senior sister Jiang, are you okay?" Seeing that the battle was over, Luo Jianying stood at the entrance of the cave and shouted from a distance. The rest of the team members also looked in the direction of Ling Feng and the others with concern, wanting to rush out, but because of Ling Feng's order, they did not dare to leave the cave even half a step. "I'm fine." Ling Feng exhaled a breath, stood up slowly, and walked towards the body of the monster. A mutated monster. Ling Feng looked at the monster that looked a bit like a fox with some curiosity. Its head is indeed similar to that of a fox, but its body is more like a human. The differentiation of its hands and feet is more obvious than that of ordinary monsters, so it can stand up like a human. The most frightening thing is its intelligence, which is very superb and can avoid human traps. Even in the previous battle, in addition to the instinct of the beast, there were also some attacks that were similar to martial arts. Jiang Wanqing walked to Ling Feng, saw Ling Feng's expression, and asked a little strangely, "What's wrong? Is there any problem?" Logically speaking, since Luofeng Canyon is a place arranged by the sect for ordinary inner sect disciples to gain experience, there will never be any monsters appearing. Otherwise, it would be like sending a sheep into the tiger's mouth. But the monsters just showed up. "I don't think so. Is it strange?" Jiang Wanqing blinked her bright eyes. "I find it strange too, but it's not uncommon for monsters to mutate into monsters." "You are wrong." Ling Feng said calmly, "If I admit my mistake correctly, this was originally a first-order monster, a red-tailed fox. This kind of monster, even among first-order monsters, is a very low-level existence. They cannot mutate for no reason. Generally speaking, only those powerful predators, powerful monster beasts that have the opportunity to devour more human flesh and blood, have the chance to mutate, but the chance of such mutation is still very slim. And a mere red-tailed fox can actually mutate into a demon. There must be a huge secret hidden in this." "You mean, what kind of treasure did this red-tailed fox get?" Jiang Wanqing exclaimed. 9 times out of 10. Ling Feng pursed his lips. "Either it is a treasure from heaven and earth, or a spiritual creature from heaven and earth. I have a vague feeling that there may be exotic treasures in this area. Jiang Wanqing's eyelids twitched. The treasure that can mutate the red-tailed fox into a demon clan can indeed be called an exotic treasure. Ling Feng searched the body of the red-tailed fox for a while, even disemboweling it and searching its belly, but there was nothing except some food residue. Vomit. Jiang Wanqing watched Ling Feng take out everything from the red-tailed fox's stomach. Her face suddenly turned pale, and she almost vomited out the gall water. Vomit. Jiang Wanqing resisted the urge to vomit. You can find it yourself slowly, I'll go back first. Jiang Wanqing also understood in her heart that if it weren't for Ling Feng this time, she might not even be able to save her life. Even if Ling Feng gained anything, it would be his own spoils and there was no need to share it with anyone. No, nothing. Ling Feng searched all over the red-tailed fox but couldn't find anything. In the end, he had to dig out its demon elixir, which was considered to be some harvest. It seems like this beast must have digested something, or perhaps hid some treasure in the cave. Ling Feng raised his eyebrows. Forget it, what's mine is always mine. If it's not mine, you can't force it. Suddenly, he remembered that there seemed to be a kind of fruit in the food scraps he had just taken out, the Qiulu fruit. This kind of autumn dew fruit should also be recorded on the map Li Liang gave him. It will only grow in a valley southwest of Luofeng Canyon. There is most likely the nest of the red-tailed fox. Is it near the southwest valley? A smile appeared on the corner of Ling Feng's mouth. It just so happened that it was on the route of the team. When walking to that area, if you pay a little attention, you might get something unexpected. Please vote. Chapter 57 Crisis is coming. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The next day, dawn dispelled the darkness. The rising sun in Luofeng Canyon brings the first ray of morning warmth. The group simply tidied up and followed Ling Feng's route, heading southwest in a leisurely manner. With yesterday's experience, these disciples who have just stepped out of the sect have improved their adaptability. At least they no longer look so panicked and uneasy when encountering monsters, because they believe that with Ling Feng here, no one's life would be in danger. Even the more terrifying demon clan died in Ling Feng's hands. How could the ordinary demon beasts outside Luofeng Canyon kill any team member under his nose? And soon, everyone discovered that following Ling Feng, the spiritual flowers and herbs collected along the way were unusually abundant. Basically, every time they walked a certain distance, there would be many valuable medicinal materials waiting for them to pick them. At this time, the value of the map Li Liang gave Ling Feng became apparent. As long as you take this path, you will basically not encounter any great dangers, and you can easily obtain a large number of spiritual flowers and spiritual grass. After returning to the sect, it will be difficult not to win. The team members were all excited and couldn't help but admire Ling Feng. Time passed quickly, and it was already the fourth day for the group to practice in Luofeng Canyon. We're almost close to the river valley. Ling Feng touched the modulus. Thoughtfully, Ling Feng believed that the area near the river valley where Qiulu grew was the nest of the mutated red-tailed fox. He vaguely felt that if he could find the red-tailed fox's lair, he might have unexpected harvests. Uncle Ling Feng, what are you thinking about? Su Hongxiu approached Ling Feng and handed over a piece of barbecue with a smile. She also folded a leaf into a small bowl and brought a bowl of stream water over. In the past few days, this little girl has been responsible for Ling Feng's food. It is also a barbecue, cooked by Su Hongxiu. The heat is right, charred on the outside and tender on the inside. Over the past few days, Ling Feng's mouth has become quite naughty, and even Su Hongxiu would find it difficult to swallow. Nothing. Ling Feng took the barbecue and looked at Su Hongxiu squatting in front of him holding the stream water. He pursed his lips and said calmly, "Sit down." With that said, he moved to the side of the rock where he was sitting, making way for Su Hongxiu. Oh. Su Hongxiu's face was rosy. She sat down next to Ling Feng and felt her heartbeat keep beating like a deer. Ling Feng didn't notice Su Hongxiu's expression, and was thinking about the mutated red-tailed fox. Suddenly. Call out. A sharp and ear-piercing sound pierced the sky, resounding in the sky high in the southwest, and immediately a symbol with the word immortal flashed. Everyone looked up and Luo Jianying was the first to react and exclaimed, "That seems to be our signal to ask the immortal sect." Jiang Wanqing jumped up and jumped to the top of a big tree. She stared at it and frowned. The red-sounding arrow is a signal for help. A team is giving up this trial mission. Giving up the mission? No way, giving up on the first trial mission. Hey, that team is too weak. It's only the fourth day and they gave up. It's so shameful. After hearing Jiang Wanqing's words, many team members began to whisper. The signal that appeared in the sky was the distress signal from the disciples of the Wenxian sect, and the signal arrow was kept in the hands of the captain. Once there is a crisis that even the two captains cannot deal with, the sounding arrows will be launched, and the elders of the Wenxian sect guarding outside the Luofeng Canyon will be dispatched to respond. After all, every inner disciple is the fresh blood of Wenxian sect and is very precious to the sect, so before they grow up, the sect will provide strict protection. For example, in this training, in addition to the two captains, 5 assistants elders in the mid to late stage of the pulse condensation realm were also dispatched to respond to the distress call. Ling Feng frowned. Logically speaking, in this trial area, there would only be second-level high-level monsters at most, similar to the cloud-patterned eye-catching tiger he killed last time. The team was led by a pulse-condensing realm captain. It shouldn't be serious enough to send off a distress signal. At this time, call out. Call out. Call out. 3 more distress signals soared into the sky in the southwest, bursting out with bright and dazzling light, and then turned into a crimson word. Another distress signal. 3 in a row. The team members began to feel a little uneasy. They might have thought that one team was too weak before and gave up the trial casually, but now, they feel very strange. In a short period of time, 4 teams in a row sent out distress signals. This was no coincidence. There must have been some irresistible danger. 10 teams, almost at the same time, have given up. Oh my God, what happened? And they all seem to be in the southwest. What happened there? At this time, everyone realized the seriousness of the problem. Moreover, in general terms, their route seems to be heading southwest. Everyone looked at each other, and their expressions became a little solemn. The situation suddenly changed, as if there was an invisible big hand covering the southwest area of Luofeng Canyon, and the crisis was approaching everyone little by little. I'll give you 50 breaths to straighten everything out immediately, throw away unnecessary baggage, and travel lightly. Ling Feng stood up immediately and made an instant decision. Then, what about our trophies? These new disciples may not all have treasures like space bags, and the space bags can hold very little. Therefore, many people have some animal skin bags hanging on their bodies, which contain monster materials, spiritual flowers and spiritual herbs collected along the way, and even monster meat, which are pre-prepared rations. Throw it all away. Ling Feng's eyes turned cold. There are still 30 breaths left. Although everyone was reluctant to part with those materials, they also knew that this was a life-or-death moment, and holding on to their lives was the most important thing. Jiang Wanqing also jumped down from the treetop, gritted her teeth and looked at Ling Feng. What are you going to do? We are safe for the time being. There is no need to be frightened and release a distress signal immediately. Ling Feng made a prompt decision and pointed to the east. We are going in this direction. We just need to avoid the limelight. After the elders in the sect arrive, there should be no big problem. Good. Regarding Ling Feng's decision, everyone did not hesitate at all. They threw away all the things that were too heavy and affected their speed and ran all the way to the east. Jiang Wanqing was leading the way, while Ling Feng was at the rear. Everyone was like a frightened bird. They sent out 4 distress signals in succession, making everyone panic and uneasy. Everyone rushed out towards the canyon to the east with all their strength. Ling Feng looked back from time to time, and sure enough, he found that in the mountains in the southwest, there was a huge evil spirit faintly coming from, which was 10 times more terrifying than the mutated red-tailed fox last night. Could it be that the emergence of mutated red-tailed foxes is not an isolated case, and that large-scale mutated monsters have already appeared in Luofeng Canyon? Ling Feng swallowed hard and his expression became serious. If this is really the case, I'm afraid I won't be able to get a share of the pie with my limited abilities. Chapter 58 The Handsome Man. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. At this time, unexpected and terrifying changes had occurred in the southwest area of Luofeng Canyon. The 4 teams in front that sent out distress signals finally failed to wait for the arrival of the sect elders, and were all wiped out. 40 or 50 lives were lost in an instant. Ling Feng and the others didn't know what terrible thing happened, but they could hear some heart-wrenching cries in the distance. Frightened birds left their nests, and the entire forest was filled with an atmosphere of uneasiness and tension, making people almost collapse. Run! Run as fast as you can. At this moment, all the members of the team led by Ling Feng had only one thought in their minds. Xianxia clenched her pink fist, secretly wondering in her heart. It was obviously just a very ordinary training area. She had led a team several times before, but this time, the demon tribe appeared first, and then this happened again. What terrible thing happened in Luofeng Canyon? Go into the mountains. Find a place to hide first. The sense of crisis in Ling Feng's heart became clearer and clearer, and the dangerous aura behind him was getting closer and closer. The roars of wild beasts came from time to time. The monster beasts that usually attack like crazy when they see humans seemed to be frightened. They were weak, their limbs were limp and they were lying on the ground, as if waiting for the arrival of the king. Among them, there are even extremely ferocious hunters such as the bloodthirsty demon leopard and the wind demon wolf. Bloodline shock. Jiang Wanqing's face changed drastically. I know what's going on. The demon commander is a powerful demon clan at the demon commander level. Young commander. Ling Feng squeezed the Mo Yuan sword in his hand and swallowed hard again. Among the demon clan, according to the division of strength, it can be divided into many levels such as demon soldiers, demon generals, demon commanders, demon kings, etc. According to the records of the Tianbai Empire, the powerful demon kings are comparable to the peak warriors in the empire, and the demons at the demon commander level are also equivalent to the powerful Huayuan realm warriors of the human race. You must know that among the people in the Wenxian sect who have reached the Huayuan realm, apart from the leader Lin Songlong, only Duanwu Qingshan has reached this level. From this we can see how terrifying a handsome and powerful man can be. Demon handsome. The performance of the rest of the team members was even worse. Some even had their legs weaken and collapsed on the ground. Even third-level monsters are very rare in Luofeng Canyon. How come a monster appears inexplicably? Jiang Wanqing looked horrified. Not to mention the demon commander, even a 4th-level demonic beast was enough to annihilate all the disciples of the Wenxian sect who had entered Luofeng Canyon for training. P.S. The 4th-level monster is equivalent to the level of Huayuan realm of the human race and the level of the demon commander. Generally speaking, at the same level, the demon beast is stronger than the demon beast, and the demon beast is stronger than the human race. Ling Feng's face was as dark as water. The matter was serious. If one of them failed, the rest of them might be dead. Outside Luofeng Canyon, the 5 Wenxian sect elders responsible for the rescue were hiding in a big tree and resting very comfortably. Suddenly, I saw a distress signal blooming, and a red light illuminated half of the sky. What's going on? Just in the outer area of Luofeng Canyon, there are 2 disciples of the pulse condensation realm accompanying them, and we still need to send out a distress signal. One of the white-browed elders showed a trace of displeasure on his face. This generation of disciples is really getting worse and worse. Another elder in red robe shook his head. Forget it, I'll go there. However, before the red-robed elder could take action, 3 more distress signals were sent from the same direction, almost at the same time. All the elders suddenly rose into the sky, using the air control technique to float in mid-air, all of them frowning deeply. What's going on? All 4 teams sent out distress signals at once. Could it be that 3 monsters appeared in Luofeng Canyon? Elder Bai Mei said in a deep voice. Don't waste any more time, let's all act together. The speaker was an elder with a Chinese character face, a majestic appearance, and a very majestic aura. Among all the people, he was the most powerful, and his cultivation had reached the 10th level of the pulse condensation realm. With his strength, he is almost no worse than those peak masters. Well, just follow the wishes of Elder Taijian. I hope those disciples can hold on for a while. The red-robed elder said, flicking his sleeves, and everyone walked against the wind almost at the same time, heading towards Luofeng Canyon. In the southwest area, flying shots came out. The speed of flying on the wind is naturally much faster than walking in the mountains and forests. In about half an hour, these elders rushed to the place where the signal was sent at full speed. Everyone immediately dispersed and looked around for the whereabouts of the disciples. However, all they found were mutilated corpses, scattered in 4 directions, the southeast, northwest, and the 4 teams, including the team leaders who were in the early stage of the pulse condensation realm, were all wiped out. After a while, the 5 elders gathered together again, with a look of deep solemnity on each of their faces. Dead, all dead. Damn beast, how dare you kill dozens of my disciples? A famous elder was furious. At this moment, a black energy rose from the earth. The terrifying demonic energy was almost like a blazing flame. The terrifying demonic aura came oppressively and made these elders tremble. Jie jie jie, are you going to kill me? A low and hoarse voice sounded from the depths of the earth, like a surprised thunder on the ground, making people shudder. The eyelids of the 5 elders jumped at the same time. When they looked back, they found that there were actually 12 demon beasts in the rolling demonic energy. They stood up, wearing some armor-like equipment, holding weapons, and staring at the 5 people with ill intentions. Demons. The red-robed elders' eyelids jumped wildly. These were not third-level demon beasts, they were clearly all demons. 12 demons. How could there be 12 demons in the Falling Wind Canyon? Standing in the middle of the 12 demons was a monster with a tiger head and a human body, holding a heavy axe, with a cruel smile on the corner of his mouth, and a pair of blood-red eyes staring at the 5 people. The terrifying aura almost made the 5 elders breathless. The tiger-headed demon alone was enough to wipe out the 5 of them, not to mention that there were 11 other demons among them. You 5 are still capable. Among the monsters, there was an 8-legged spider woman with some female features. Her chest was very exaggerated and unusually high, and she used 2 leaves to cover the key parts. However, when you see her hideous face, you will probably be frightened to the point of impotence for life. The spider woman stretched out her scarlet tongue, licked the fangs at the corner of her mouth, and said coldly, "Tell me quickly, are you the ones who killed the 13th brother?" That the 13th brother she mentioned was the mutant red-tailed fox that was killed by Ling Feng a few nights ago. The red-tailed fox had just successfully mutated and was the weakest. It was originally out hunting, but it was killed by Ling Feng instead. What 13th brother? I don't know anything about him. Elder Taijian calmed down a little and gritted his teeth and said, "Master Demon Commander, this seems to be the range of human activities. It's not the territory of your demon clan, right? No matter what territory you have, you lowly humans killed 13th brother and must pay with blood." One of the burly black bear demons roared and swung the sledgehammer in his hand fiercely. "Brother, don't waste time talking to them. Just kill them like you killed those humans just now." He, I haven't eaten enough just now. Chapter 59 Empire Legend. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Among the 12 demons, the tiger demon, the bear demon and the spider girl are all at the level of demon commanders, while the rest are demon soldiers and demon generals. Generally speaking, the demon commander's strength is much stronger than that of ordinary Huayuan realm experts. Such a lineup can almost sweep the entire Wenxian sect and raise the whole Wenxian sect to the ground. And how could these 5 elders of the Wenxian sect escape from the vicious hands of these demon clans? However, these monsters seem to enjoy the hunting game very much. The tiger monster and the spider girl stood there with great interest, allowing the bear monster to single out the 5 Wenxian sect elders. For a time, the elders of Wenxian sect all used their methods, but they were still retreating steadily under the terrifying power of the bear demon that could destroy the world. 100 miles east of the battle between the Wenxian sect and the powerful demon clan, Ling Feng and others temporarily hid in a mountain stream. They actually saw 5 streams of light flying far away in the sky, and then another one appeared. An extremely terrifying evil spirit, you don't need to guess to know that it must be the elders of Wenxian's sect who met the handsome and powerful man. However, the situation is still not optimistic. When encountering a demon tribe at the level of a demon commander, the elders alone may not only be unable to save the disciples of the Wenxian sect, but may also risk their own lives. Ling Feng, what should we do now? Jiang Wanqing stared nervously at the southwest sky. In that direction, there were sometimes lightning and thunder, sometimes raging flames, and sometimes evil spirits rising. Even though they were hundreds of miles away, they were all shocked. One feels a palpitation in the heart and can hardly breathe. One can imagine how brutal the battle that broke out there was. Ling Feng frowned deeply. What could he do? If they were also discovered by the demon commander, he even doubted whether they could escape from the demon commander even if they turned on the eyes of Shura. At this moment, several streaks of light shot out from the sky, flying towards the southwest. The blue light at the front was so fast that it left several streams of light behind it in the distance. Wherever it passed, a fierce wind blew up. While passing by the mountain stream where Ling Feng and others were hiding, an astonishing chill hit them, and the water from the mountain spring actually turned into ice crystals. Jiang Wanqing shuddered, looked up at the sky, and asked in surprise, "Then, who are those people?" "Master, a real master." Ling Feng frowned deeply. Today he has seen that there are many strong men in this world, and his own meager strength alone is not enough. At this time, a purple thunder-like beam of light stopped steadily in the sky and said to the two people in front, "Jinghong, you two just go over there. Anyway, with my strength, I can't help much." A cold voice sounded from the front, "As you wish." After saying that, the two figures in front suddenly accelerated, throwing away the person behind them, and continued flying towards the southwest. There was only one person left, flapping a pair of self-reflecting wings behind him. This was a magic weapon similar to the Qingling light wings given to Ling Feng by Duanwu Qingshan. However, this thing was much more advanced than the Qingling light wings. It could not only increase the flying speed, but also increase the flight speed. It can even launch some purple thunder attacks. It is a low-grade treasure. You know, any treasure is 10 times 100 times more precious than a high-grade mysterious weapon. The man was hanging in the air, looking directly below, which happened to be the mountain stream where Ling Feng and his group were hiding. His eyes were locked on Jiang Wanqing's body from the very beginning. The corners of his mouth curled up, and he patted the purple thunder feather behind him and slowly fell down. Zheng! Immediately, Ling Feng and Jiang Wanqing both drew their swords, and the other disciples also stood up and looked at the intruder warily. Don't get me wrong. The man took the purple thunder feather into his body and looked at Jiang Wanqing with a smile. This junior sister, I am not a bad person. He pointed to the southwest and said with a faint smile, "Did you see the person who flew over just now? He is my cousin, Yan Jinghong." Yan Jinghong. Jiang Wanqing seemed to have heard this name before, and took a sharp breath. But that legendary genius of the Yan family in the eastern capital, Yan Jinghong. The other disciples of the Wenxian sect, some of whom had fairly good family backgrounds, had heard of this name, and all of them suddenly showed expressions of great admiration. Legendary genius, Yan Jinghong. These 3 words can be said to be the most dazzling name in the entire Tianbai Empire. Even people like Ling Feng, who had never been exposed to martial arts before, could still hear the name Yan Jinghong in the mouths of ordinary people. That is a true genius, worthy of the word legend. The Yan family of the eastern capital was originally a very illustrious super family in the Tianbai Empire. After Yan Jinghong was born, it became even more prosperous and unparalleled in the limelight. It can be compared with the Zhangqiong sect of the Divine Protector sect. Even the imperial royal family issued an imperial edict and praised Yan Jinghong as an imperial legend. And such a legendary figure is only 14 years old this year. This person is extremely talented and has outstanding martial arts aptitude. He was born with the legendary holy body. He has been practicing since he was 7 years old and has made great progress with each passing day. He learned the sword at the age of 8 and defeated all the teachers who taught him the way of swordsmanship. At the age of 10, he swept across the pulse condensation realm and was invincible. At the age of 12, he was promoted to Huayuan realm and became a first-rate master capable of establishing a sect in one place. This is a future pillar who is cultivated as the successor by the Yan family of the eastern capital. He is also a super genius whose reputation is well known throughout the empire and even alarms the entire eastern spiritual territory. Today, 2 years later, Yan Jinghong's strength has definitely reached an even more terrifying level. Different from the excitement of others, strong anger flashed in Ling Feng's eyes, the Yan family of the eastern capital. The family of Grandpa Tan Mo's Tai Xian Acupuncture Sutra is a despicable family that doesn't keep its promises and betrays its promises. He clenched his fists and lowered his head. No one else could see the anger in his heart. What about super geniuses? What about imperial legends? Sooner or later, I will step on the so-called legend under my feet and ask the Yan family of Dongdu to hand over what originally belongs to them. Seeing Jiang Wanqing's expression, Yan Jinghong's cousin put a proud smile on his face, raised his head and said arrogantly, "And I am the legendary cousin of this empire, Yanan." Although no one has heard of the name Yanan, since this person is Yan Jinghong's cousin, no one dares to offend him. It turns out to be Mr. Yan. Jiang Wanqing saluted him with a sword and said warmly, "My younger sister, Jiang Wanqing, is a disciple of the Wenxian sect." It turns out it's Sister Wanqing. Yanan chuckled, his lustful face clearly exposed. "Wouldn't it be a pity for a beauty like you to stay in the Wenxian sect? Well, if you follow I, becoming my Yan's woman, will be equivalent to taking refuge in our Yan family in the future. Isn't this 100 times better than your struggling in such a small sect with no future?" Jiang Wanqing's expression changed. She didn't expect that this descendant of the Yan family would be so virtuous. She clenched her fists and gritted her teeth and said, "Thank you, Mr. Yan, for looking after the little girl. It's just that everyone has their own ambitions. There's nothing wrong with me like this." "Does that mean you don't know how to appreciate it?" Yanan looked like a playboy, folded his hands on his chest, narrowed his eyes, and sneered, "Don't say I didn't warn you. If you are willing to follow me, you will only have to serve me in the future. If you are not willing to follow me, then don't blame me for selling you to the land of fireworks after I got tired of playing with you. From now on, you will be a bride every night." Everyone obviously didn't expect that a descendant of the Yan family in Dongdu would be so shameless and obscene. It was simply outrageous. Chapter 60 Killing in Anger. You are listening at novelfull.audio. You. Jiang Wanqing's face turned blue with anger, and her delicate body trembled slightly. This Yanan is simply a beast in disguise. What's wrong? My sister Wanqing, have you thought about it? Yanan chuckled, sizing up Jiang Wanqing with a pair of ruthless eyes, exclaiming from time to time, knowing the dirty thoughts in his mind without guessing. Among the crowd, Su Hongxiu hid timidly behind a tall male disciple, for fear of being stared at by this guy. It's really unreasonable. His cousin is Yan Jinghong, so he can do whatever he wants here. He is not Yan Jinghong, a disciple of the Wenxian sect murmured in a low voice, feeling a little unhappy, but he did not dare to step forward. Even if Yanan is not as good as Yan Jinghong, he is a descendant of the Yan family of the eastern capital. How can he, a small disciple of the Wenxian sect, offend this young master? Tsk, tisk, you've been thinking for a little too long, Sister Wanqing. Yanan laughed shamelessly. He licked his tongue and said, "Then I'll add some more chips. If you don't want these senior brothers and sisters around you, if they are all dead, just follow me obediently." This was obviously another heavy blow, hitting Jiang Wanqing's heart so hard that she couldn't breathe. He is using other people's lives to threaten himself into submission. What the hell does this have to do with me? A disciple's legs went weak and his mind was spinning. I don't want to die. Jiang, senior sister Jiang, otherwise, you just. Senior sister Jiang, there is actually nothing wrong with following Mr. Yan. You see that Mr. Yan is also a talented person and has a good family background. You should just follow him. It is for everyone's consideration. You. What are you talking about? Luo Jianying was the only one who stared angrily at the junior disciples around him, feeling chilled. If the matter has nothing to do with you, keep silent. If the matter falls on you, the selfishness of human nature is fully exposed. Look, your junior brothers are all trying to persuade you. Yan'an smiled evilly. It's better to listen to their advice. He, I am the most compassionate person. That at this moment, the sound stopped suddenly, there was just a pop sound, and a long black sword pierced through his chest and pierced his heart directly. Yan'an turned his head with difficulty and saw a pair of cold eyes. It's Ling Feng. You, how dare you, poof. Yan'an spat out a mouthful of blood and stared at Ling Feng. He couldn't believe that someone actually dared to kill him. You talk a lot of nonsense. Are you going to die without a happy death? That there was no emotion on Ling Feng's face, and he simply drew out his long sword. Yan'an's body fell back heavily, and with a bang. Blood gushed out, dyeing the ground red. Yan'an, die. Ling. Uncle Ling Feng, you killed him. You actually killed him. One of the team members was trembling with fear. That was a descendant of the Yan family of the eastern capital and the cousin of Yan Jinghong, the legendary genius of the empire. Ling Feng actually kills at any time. How brave is he? Jiang Wanqing looked at Ling Feng with her eyes, then looked at Yan'an's body on the ground, and burst into tears. For a moment, she even wavered. If she killed so many junior brothers and sisters for her own sake, she would have uneasy conscience for the rest of her life. But now, she no longer needs to make that shameless choice. However, because of her, Ling Feng also forged a deep and irresolvable hatred with the Yan family of Dongdu. Ling Feng gently wiped the blade of the Mo Yuan sword, and his eyes swept across, staring at the disciples below. The cold murderous intention made everyone tremble. Ling. Uncle Ling, we will never betray you. Don't kill me. The disciple who just advised Jiang Wanqing to follow Yan'an fell to his knees on the ground, trembling with fear. Most of Ling Feng's murderous intent was pointed at him unabashedly. Self-preservation is human nature, but you have no right to force others to sacrifice for you. Ling Feng's long sword returned to its sheath, and his murderous aura disappeared instantly. Those who want to escape, run away quickly. Ling Feng stood with his hands behind his hands and said with an indifferent expression, with that Yan Jinghong here, even the demon commander will not be able to distract him. You can escape from Luofeng Canyon. All the disciples looked at each other. You looked at me, I looked at you. No one dared to leave first, but soon, the instinct of survival defeated everything. Even if Yan Jinghong can punish the demon commander, if Ling Feng kills Yan'an and continues to follow Ling Feng, he may only die. Uncle Ling, I still have an 80-year-old mother at home. One disciple gritted his teeth and ran away first. There was the first one, and soon there was the second one, and then there was the third one. After a while, there were only 3 people left on the field: Jiang Wanqing, Su Hongxiu, Luo Jianying. Luo Jianying hesitated and struggled for a long time, looking at Ling Feng's back. This was his idol. You guys can leave too. Ling Feng turned around with a smile on his face. Ever since he was deceived by Su Lin, he opened the eye of the emperor to kill and bloodbath the city lord's mansion. He rarely showed such a smile, but at this moment, his smile came from the bottom of his heart. At least, at this critical moment, there is still someone who dares to be by his side. Uncle Ling Feng, I won't leave. Su Hongxiu gritted his teeth. Let's go, everyone, leave. If you are not with me, you will be safer. On the contrary, I will be safer too. Ling Feng pursed his lips and said with a faint smile, Yan Jinghong is a legend of the empire. Aren't I also asking about the legend of the immortal sect? Why, do you think I, a legend, will die in the hands of that legend today? Of course not. Luo Jianying laughed and said, Uncle Ling, you are the only legend in my heart. That at this moment, in this situation, the only person who can speak such bold words is probably Ling Feng. Then leave quickly. It's not a good place to stay for a long time. Ling Feng was not in the habit of waiting for death. He knew his own weight. At this time, it was not appropriate for him to meet a master like Yan Jinghong, otherwise his life would be in danger. Uncle Ling, we will meet again at the Xianzong, right? Woo woo. Su Hongxiu burst into tears with tears in her eyes. Of course, I still want to eat the barbecue you made. Ling Feng raised his eyebrows. Okay, don't waste time, let's go. Jiang Wanqing's expression was still a little dull, her eyes fixed on Ling Feng. You. Her mind was still confused, and she even started to lose her voice. Luo Jianying, take care of your senior and junior sisters. Ling Feng patted him on the shoulder. Remember, you are a man. I will. Luo Jianying nodded heavily, holding Su Hongxiu with her left hand and Jiang Wanqing with her right hand. The three of them flew away towards the exit of Luofeng Canyon. He also knew in his heart that even if they followed Ling Feng, they would not be of any help and could only hold him back. The Yan family of the eastern capital. Seeing Luo Jianying and the others walking away, Ling Feng clenched his fists, looked at Yan En's body on the ground, and snorted coldly, you are the first member of the Yan family to die in my hands. People, and will never be the last. Then, Ling Feng found a space ring and the purple thunder feather on Yan En's body. Then, without having time to search carefully, Ling Feng jumped up and disappeared into the dense forest within a few jumps. Support a recommendation, vote big guys.